Now, here's George Will. This is exactly what I'm talking about in the Washington Compost, I guess on their blog page on the Internet. You see, folks, conservatives are so used to losing, particularly conservatives inside the Beltway who've been here for decades, that when we really, really lose, they claim that we've won. I don't know if this is a psychological thing. I don't know. But we don't have to go along with it. We have to know when we're winning and when we're losing to make sure that we actually win from time to time. So here he is. And the title of the Will piece, 3 o'clock today, is Conservatives Consolidation Prize. I said, ooh, what's this? Now listen to this one. Conservatives won a substantial victory Thursday. The physics of American politics, actions provoking reactions, continues to move the crucial debate about the nature of the American regime toward conservatism. Chief Justice John G. Roberts, Jr. has served this cause. Mr. Will, Pelosi has served that cause. Reid has served the cause. Obama served that cause. The 4 liberal activist radicals in the court have served that cause. We don't expect the originalists and conservatives to serve that cause. We expect them to do the right thing. But he goes on. The healthcare legislation's expansion of the federal government's purview has improved our civic health by rekindling interest in what this expansion threatens. The framers designed for limited government. Well, gee, they might as well start rounding us up because that will rekindle the effort that the framers started too. This is so asinine, I'm stunned. This is as stunning to me as the John Roberts opinion. Conservatives distraught about the survival of the individual mandate are missing the considerable consolation prize they won when the Supreme Court rejected a constitutional rationale for the mandate, Congress's rationale that was pregnant with rampant statism. The case challenged the court to fashion a judicially administrable principle that limits Congress's power to act on the mere pretense, of regulating interstate commerce. At least Roberts got the court to embrace emphatic language, rejecting the Commerce Clause rationale for penalizing the inactivity of not buying insurance. What? 4 justices other than Roberts said no to the Commerce Clause, including inactivity. All Roberts had to do was vote for them. He didn't get the court to do that. If the mandate, he writes, George Will, had been upheld under the Commerce Clause, let's stop right there. It wasn't going to be upheld under the Commerce Clause. That's the point. It shouldn't have been upheld under any clause, as a matter of fact. And yet it was, because Roberts saved it by changing the statute and misapplying the Constitution. If the mandate had been upheld under the Commerce Clause, George Will writes, the Supreme Court would have decisively construed this clause so permissively as to give Congress an essentially unlimited police power, the power to mandate, prescribe, and regulate behavior. You know, we've already briefed this, argued this, oral argument. We know what that would have done. The point is, we won the case. But for the Chief Justice. There's no lesson here that's useful. In fact, the lesson is, who the hell do you trust anymore? The court held that the mandate is constitutional only because Congress could have identified its enforcement penalty as a tax. The court thereby guaranteed that the argument ignited by the mandate will continue as the principal fault line in our policy. I don't know what our friend George Will is drinking, but this is so absurd. See, folks, now we can argue forever this issue of the Commerce Clause and taxes. That seems to be a silver line. To me, we could have put a stake in the heart of this damn thing and forced Congress and this president to follow the Constitution. That, to me, would have been the preferred outcome. But that's just me. George Will. by persuading the court to reject a Commerce Clause rationale. He didn't persuade the court. The 4 justices were already there. The conservative legal insurgency against Obamacare has won a huge victory for the long haul. Folks, I'm mind-boggled. These are supposed to be smart people. We had Obamacare killed, but for John Roberts. And here, George Will's arguing, thanks to John Roberts, we have the argument against Obamacare for the long haul. Wait a minute. We didn't need the argument for the long haul. We had it killed. The victory, writes George will help revive a venerable tradition of America's political culture, that of viewing congressional actions with a skeptical constitutional squint. Gee, folks, doesn't every survey and poll show that most of us hate Congress? What do they have, a 9% popularity level? But even more than that, haven't we been squinting at them for a long time over stuff like Obamacare and the failure to secure the border and balance the budget and control spending? I mean, gee, did we really need John Roberts to concoct a tax argument to save Obamacare to figure out that we have a problem with Congress, George Will? I'm not even reading any more of this. It's the dumbest George Will article, certainly among them, that I've ever read. And you're going to find this now with conservatives, perhaps some libertarians, bending over backwards to find some justification for this. What the hell for? It's a disastrous opinion. Read the dissenters. Read the dissenters. If you think you're frustrated, you'll see how frustrated they are. All over the liberal blogs, by the way, Clarence Thomas is getting the racist treatment. The N-word, the Uncle Tom stuff. Why doesn't George Will write about that? That no matter what, Clarence Thomas has the courage to stick by the Constitution. You notice you never read articles by bloggers or conservative Supreme Court watchers or this one or that one saying, maybe Thomas was angling for this, or maybe Thomas was doing... Because Thomas sticks to his guns. He faithfully executes. You don't find stuff about like that on Thomas because Thomas isn't interested in that stuff. So they viciously assault him. It's racist. It's beyond belief. You won't hear any news reports about this. Our friend Michelle Malkin on her new website has it. What does she call her website? I can't remember it, Mr. Producer. Do you remember? No, neither of those. Twitty or something or other? Is it Twitchy? Twitchy. She's got them all there. Then, of course, now they want Scalia to resign. He's way out of line. You know, this Scalia who upholds the Constitution, that's way out of line. Can't have him. And notice today they aren't talking about the great Anthony Kennedy, quote unquote. They used to love Anthony Kennedy. They still will when we get to stuff like same-sex marriage and so on. He's reliable on the left. But that said, notice today you don't hear a word about Anthony Kennedy. Nothing. The swing justice wasn't swinging, was he? No, the swinger this time was John Roberts. The swinger on Monday was John Roberts. I want to tell the 4 justices who did the right thing here. You are the ones that deserve our thanks. You are the ones that deserve these columnists writing nice things about you. You are the ones who stood up, even though you knew you'd take a lot of crap. It's hard today to stand with the Constitution. It's very, very hard. Because the Constitution limits what the statists want to do. And these justices, these 4 justices, what they did today, really, they deserve our thanks. All the focus now on John Roberts. Yeah, they want to make sure they have John Roberts on these big decisions now where they want him. At worst, unreliable. That is, hard to know what he'll do. And at best, more times than not, with them. It's very sad. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a lesson on why we reject centralized government, an all-powerful government with concentrated power. Because even people who you believe have the capacity and the ability to work within that construct, most of the time don't. Most of the time they don't. They're sucked into the system. That's what's happened to John Roberts. I read some places say, I'm not going to really hammer John Roberts. I'm not hammering John Roberts. John Roberts is hammering us. I don't know how you discuss this decision without discussing this decision. A lot of these people want to discuss something else. Look at this. It's a learning moment. Oh, look at this. He must have been angling over here. Oh, look at this. He must have... His job is to uphold the Constitution. All of their jobs, to faithfully execute. And the problem is, in Washington, D.C., where all these people are located, there are fewer and fewer people doing that. I want to thank Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito and Antonin Scalia, and today, rarely, Anthony Kennedy. I read everything you wrote. You did a very, very good job. You should have won this case. And I bet you're more frustrated than any other Americans in this country. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.